corners.
Solitary confinement.
Oh gosh, I remember the corner.
No, not
The corner shame.
It's like you have to stand there for 10 minutes, but I have ADHD and I'm time blind.
The next dude is a researcher doing animal testing on some sort of product, and he gets eaten by a sewer alligator trying to retrieve a watch he sees in the sewer.
Every time I see an alligator misbehaving, I think of Monsters Inc. and it's like, another gator? Give me that shovel.
Get the shovel. She's right, guys.
They break into the morgue to examine the body, and there's basically nothing left of the dude, but Sam notices a scale that leads them to the alligator conclusion, and that's when they decide that they need to call Bobby for help because they have no idea what to do.
It's just all over the place.
I just want to point out how impressive it is that Sam can not only identify that it's a scale in the first place, but that it's a belly scale from an alligator.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you Google in your spare time?
Seriously.
What documentaries
So
do you watch?
I mean, we knew from that Sam used to be kind of into like bugs and stuff. Like, was Sam like a reptile kid?
Apparently.
He was.
I mean, did he and Jess have like pet snakes and stuff? I have questions, Sam.
You can work that into your fan fiction that you're writing, the rewrite.
Oh, really?
Anyway, so they call Bobby for help, and they decide they're gonna split up to search the sewers. Dean finishes his half, and he finds Sam's money clip by his car, and all the air has been let out of baby's tires, which is an actual crime.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, that's a framing if I've ever seen one.
Yes, absolutely. Sam and Dean then start wrestling for Sam's money, which Dean wants to keep as reparations for emotional trauma. I will never not be entertained by the wrestling, by them wrestling like this. These two men are trained in combat, absolutely lethal. Their names make monsters tremble, and they wrestle exactly like how my brother and I would when we were kids, before my brother surpassed me in size, strength, and skill, and I learned that physical fighting was not the way for me to win.
Right? Like, there's a tactic to it. You have to, like, keep the thing you're fighting over really close to your chest and, like, between your arms so they can't get it.
Much like Dean Winchester, I used to be taller than my younger sibling, and I'm no longer taller than my younger sibling, so this, like, arm above the head thing, like, stopped working.
I'm still taller than my younger sibling, but not by much.
My brother is, like, significantly taller than me. I am 5'7", and my brother is 6'5".
Okay, your brother is significantly taller than most people.
My brother is taller than Sam Winchester. See, Sam looks tall to me on screen, but I know that if I meet Jared in real life, he's not going to feel tall to me, because my dad and my brother and, like, my best friend Alex and my grandfather, all of them are tall like that.
You're used to that height.
Like, that is the normal height for me to be around.
Just desensitized. Like, sorry, you have to be, like, 7 feet tall to impress me.
But other people feel very short in comparison. Like, I'm from a tall family, so, like, when people are short, they feel tiny. But anyway, Bobby then does actually start to mediate the fighting. He's like, you two are a couple of morons for not seeing what we're dealing with here. This is definitely a trickster. And a trickster is a type of immortal being that can create things, shape reality, and they usually like to mess with people who are feeling very high and mighty and knock them down a few pegs with some good old-fashioned ironic humor.
It checks out, honestly.
Kind of into the lethal variety.
But that's fun.
I mean, to kill some people, who cares? I'm fun, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, they were dicks. They definitely deserve to be tortured or dead, right? Absolutely. All of these go way too far.
It's all fun and games when somebody gets hurt.
They can look like pretty much anything, but Sam somehow reaches the conclusion that the only person who's been at the ground floor of all of these has been the janitor.
Yeah.
Who's at home chilling with his very cute dog.
My notes here only say, in all caps, dog!
I love the dog.
He's a really cute dog.
So adorable.
And he's got some, like, a whole spread of food, and he just, like, magics up a pair of hot girls to join him for dinner. Yeah, I mean, why not?
Right.
Sam and Dean go back to the university, and Sam's like, I'll catch up with you in a minute, but he heads in, like, the opposite direction to invade the privacy of everyone with a locker in this building.
Oh, also they mentioned that tricksters have, like, a sweet tooth.
Yes, that is also an important detail.
That's an important thing that's very consistent.
We should take note of here. Sam then like can't find any like hard proof that this is their guy, so they are like fighting, and Sam's gonna go check the apartment. Dean's gonna survey the campus building and not go in, but Dean gets tired of waiting and heads inside for a little confrontation because Dean is not good at waiting, probably because he has some ADHD.
I support that headcanon.
Yeah, I've just kind of just decided that is like canon enough that I'm gonna say it like it is. Dean walks into the auditorium, and on stage there is a scene right out of a porno with a lava lamp and a disco ball and Barry White and two girls in lingerie. And Dean like knows it's not real, but he really, really wishes it was real.
Gotta remain strong, Winchester.
Yeah, Mr. Trickster is like, they're a peace offering. Those people got what was coming to them, but I kind of like you and Sam. You can have the girls and I'll move on to the next town.
It's like, he's sitting right there. Were you planning on watching, or?
I think he was, not gonna lie.
I mean, that would check out, honestly.
Yeah. Dean and the Trickster legitimately have the exact same sense of humor, and they like kind of honestly like hit it off for a minute, but then Sam and Bobby come back because the fight where Sam was gonna go look at the apartment was totally fake.
I always think it's really funny when like Dean meets someone and he's like, oh, in another life we would be friends.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I wish you hadn't killed anybody because now we have to kill you, but I kind of like you.
Oh man, you killed somebody. Man, could have been friends.
Gosh darn, now I have to get rid of you.
Why did you do this? We could have gone.
Can you hold still? I gotta stab you now.
We could have been bros.
Sam almost gets chainsawed down, and Dean gets tossed by one of the sexy time girls, and then the sexy time girls start beating him up. I'm not even sure what happened to Bobby in this fight, to be honest. I like watched it back once, and I immediately lost track of Bobby.
He saw the chainsaw guy, and he was like, I'm just gonna split.
Yeah, he's just not helpful in this fight.
You guys can fight for me.
Jason wannabe over here.
And it's not that Bobby can't fight. Like, we see Bobby fight. He definitely can. He's just not helping today. Sam and Dean get their shit back together, though, because they're back in sync. Sam tosses Dean the steak, and Dean stakes the trickster. The three of them leave in a hurry, leaving the body there, and Sam tries to apologize, but he can't quite say it, and then Dean does the thing that I love that Sam usually does, and recognizes that, like, half apology as a full apology, and they take off. And then the trickster reveals that the body they stabbed was another trick, and he is still alive.
Yay! I mean, oh no.
Indicating that we will probably see this character again.
Yeah.
Excited for that.
Possibly.
Yeah, I love Richard Speight Jr., so I'm glad that he's recurring. And he's become such a big part of the Supernatural fandom.
I love him, like, a lot.
Yeah, like, not only is his character meaningful, but he himself spends a lot of time producing fan content. He and Robert Benedict host a Supernatural recap podcast currently.
Then and Now, right?
Yeah, Then and Now, which I honestly haven't listened to because I don't agree with them pushing it on my market space.
They are competition.
I was here first. Stop it.
Yeah, they do a lot of the Supernatural conventions. They are like masters of ceremony / hosts of a lot of the Supernatural conventions.
I love Rob.
So they MC a lot. So yeah, I'm really glad that they seem to still be in touch with anybody who's like ever been on the show. Like they just seem like they're having a good time. They enjoy the show itself as well as all of its fans. Richard Speight Jr. has also directed a lot. He's directed some really iconic episodes. He directed 1518 and the confession scene.
He's a man of many talents.
Yeah, he's just like a great guy. So I'm really glad that he didn't just like do this one and done. I'm glad that they left it open for his character to come back later on.
Also because like his character is so much fun.
Yeah, this was a fun episode. As much as we were like, all these people didn't actually deserve to get killed, or you know, like I didn't deserve to get sexually assaulted, like it's still a fun character. Like not to take the fun that is this episode out of things, because this one is great and his character is funny.
Yeah,
definitely makes like my top 5 or even top 3 characters.
I love that.
Well, also his character is just so powerful, and it would just be a shame to only see a character with that potential and personality in one episode.
Yeah, a character who can create reality and stuff like that shouldn't be so easily defeated.
Exactly.
you know, and like that is a ability that we would like to see again. And it makes for interesting episodes. Anyway, let's get into our weekly segments and panels because we still have another episode to record after this.
That's right.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We're having fun.
Let's start with total death count. This week we saw 2 deaths, bringing our on-screen total to 180, and the on and off-screen total for this episode was also just those 2. So the on and off-screen show total is now 1,293 plus.
Nice.
Yeah.
We've been busy.
We also try to assign an MVP of the week, so let's see who everyone would like to nominate as this week's most valuable person. Let's start with Audrey.
It's gonna definitely have to be Bobby, because he got them back on track, and he just deduced that it was a trickster they were dealing with.
Yeah, he did.
Because
they
were
had
too
no
busy
idea
fighting.
what
Yeah.
they were doing.
Too busy fighting.
Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I say Bobby, because
Meredith?
Yeah, it was also Bobby, because
Yeah.
like they didn't actually kill the trickster, and Bobby was the one who had to like do all this parenting stuff for these 2 fully grown men who were acting like
They weren't even
12-year-olds.
close to Trickster.
No, they were.
Wasn't even on the radar. I also said Bobby, so definitely Bobby on this one.
Across the board.
Bechdel test. We have 2 named women in this episode.
No.
No, we only had Starla,
No.
and Dean was pretty sure that Sam made that up, so that's a definite no.
wasn't even Starla.
Well, also, all the women in this episode were very objectified.
Yeah, I mean, the only one who, like, wasn't there to be objectified was the girl who told the ghost story, and she was, A, didn't have a name, and B, her ghost story was totally bullshit.
So no did not pass.
Yeah, definitely a no. This week's case of the week was a trickster. I don't know if anybody had any mythology they wanted to share.
Aside from me.
Yeah, I mean...
Because do I ever have mythology?
Ooh, Meredith has
Meredith told me
mythology.
last night she was
I
reading
want to hear it.
Tricksters, so I need her to do that.
Okay, well then, go ahead, Meredith.
I don't know how long this is going to go for, but I'm sure there'll be time.
Yes, go for it.
A trickster is a character archetype seen in pretty much every culture. Supernatural made the decision to turn that archetype into a creature with habits, shared physical and magical traits, and most importantly, a single way for a hunter to kill it. I think this is an interesting way to bring all these tropes and mythological figures together into one universe. However, since tricksters are an archetype and not a species, they can be many different creatures, mortal or immortal. So there isn't any one way to kill them. Actually, as we'll see, some of them can't be killed no matter how hard you try. So a trickster is a character who uses tricks and cunning to get what they want, while openly flouting or mocking the rules of society. Their greatest strength is always their mind. They're able to get amazing results from tricks. Sometimes they have magic or great physical advantages like strength or speed, but that's always enhanced by their intellect. So they're the type of character who can talk their way into or out of anything. Most of them also have a sense of humor that's not needed, but you know, it's usually there. They're usually not trying to cause harm, at least not for the sake of causing harm. If they hurt people, it's usually not malicious, or it's motivated by revenge or self-defense. But this is definitely not a steadfast rule. Lots of tricksters are just jerks, and they do hurt people because it's fun or because they don't care. Kind of like this guy.
Nice.
They're often shapeshifters or masters of disguise, which tends to go hand in hand with gender fluidity, which is not something we're going to see on Supernatural because it's supernatural. Most of the tricksters on my list are male presenting, but some will assume the shape or identity of a female in order to mess with someone or just to have fun, probably. Another interesting thing about tricksters is that they exhibit a dishonest form of honesty. They'll play with words, omit certain truths, and outright lie, but they don't go back on their word.
Sounds like Fae mythology.
Yeah, and as we'll see, that's not a coincidence. Usually only the villains in myths and fairy tales will, like, break a promise, but usually tricksters don't. Now we'll go through a few examples of tricksters. This is in no way an exhaustive list, because as I said, pretty much every culture ever has multiple trickster characters. First one is Loki from Norse mythology, probably the first trickster that most people think of. He is a god from Asgard, and we discuss Norse gods more in season 1 in our Scarecrow episode, so I won't go into detail here. Loki checks off all the items on this list. He's clever, mischievous, breaks the rules, he's very silver-tongued, he's a gender-fluid shapeshifter, and he doesn't cause any permanent harm, with one notable exception. Usually, whenever Loki did something bad, the other gods would force him to fix it. So when he cut off the goddess Sif's hair, he had to make her a wig out of wheat. But Loki crossed the line when he killed Balder. It's a fun story. We'll probably get into it in a later episode, but the other gods weren't too happy with him for that. In fact, it led to his imprisonment, where he will remain until Ragnarok. Have fun, Loki. Next up is Anansi. I think he was mentioned in this episode very briefly.
I think, yeah, Bobby might have mentioned him briefly.
Anansi is West African. He originates with the Ashanti people in modern-day Ghana. I think he's a god, but he's in the form of a spider. Anansi means spider. So he's not physically strong. He uses tricks to get what he wants. He's not really a hero or a villain, but definitely a lot of fun. He actually used several tricks to become the god of stories, which is a very fun little tale filled with shenanigans that I don't feel like getting into right now. He became even more popular during the initial colonization of Africa. Enslaved Africans brought their culture with them to North America and the Caribbean, and stories of Anansi flourished. He eventually got a few different